Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Racin with Ryan podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Stevens, and joining me live in the studio, welcome our good friend, Mr. Tom Stout from Speedway Video. Tom, nice to have you with us.
Hello, hello. Always good to be back here.
You know, everybody loves Speedway Video. You get so many shout-outs there in Victory Lane. You've been there just about as long as I have, and I'm telling you, people love the videos, and they love to be able to go back and watch their cars, and the fans that can't be there love to go back and watch the videos. So we're also thankful to have you high atop the roof, withstanding all the elements, whether it be wind, rain, sunshine. Sounds like you got a little windburned on Saturday night.
I thought I was sunburned, and I thought I was sunburned, and I had to be reminded that wind burn was a thing.
Yeah.
I kept on thinking, I don't know, other people are more in tune with what the weather's doing than I am. You definitely are one of those people. Yeah. I didn't really know about these storms off the Gulf. And so I'm looking at the sun going down, and I'm like, okay, like my tripod is trying to lift off. I can't take my hands off my tripod because it's trying to fly off the tower. And so if the beginning of the video from the season opener looks a little shaky,
okay.
there are a couple moments where I had to take off my vest because it was billowing out, and like as I panned around, the handle of the tripod was getting caught on it. So there are a couple shaky moments during the heats, but I was just like, okay, as soon as the sun goes down, though, I'll be good. And then I realized, oh, this is not a solar deal.
This is not getting better.
And it reminded me of it. It of course was not this bad because dirt from the pits was flying up. However many 3-4 years ago, when they actually had to cancel the races due to high winds.
Oh yeah.
But it was reminding me of that because it just all night long just.
And you've got to deal with toe biters up there and bugs and just all the stuff. Of course,
this time of year, the toe biters, those mutant alien looking cockroach things.
They're cockroaches that like mated with scorpions, and we got toe biters. They're disgusting creatures.
And they're not good flyers, but they love the lights, so they try to fly up to the track lights, and they very clumsily will I've had them like bounce off of my head or whatever, but they'll hang out up on the tower. For the season opener, these things were like, okay, we're bad at flying enough already. We don't need to be trying to fly in these high winds. This sucks. And there were so many of them just chilling up there with me.
Gross. People always tell me jokingly like, oh, you guys got it so nice up there in the tower. And I'm telling you, come summertime, it's a hot box up there. It's not pleasant. But we're sheltered from the worst of the elements. It's just hot and stuffy up there and full of hot air.
Wind, toe biters, spotters.
Oh, the worst. The worst of the worst up there. So I'll ask you, we'll start off the show. Of course, we're going to recap the season opener from New Smyrna. We'll glaze over the NASCAR stuff from Las Vegas at the end. Getting back into it for Speedway Video. Obviously, we have the Red Eye and we have the World Series, but those seem like completely separate from one another. The regular season is what we do week in and week out for 8-9 months of the year. So how was it getting back into the flow of things?
Yeah, the World Series in particular is like the Red Eye, and if we do something else like we did the January
we did Family Fun Night. Yep.
It's sort of like a little reminder of what it's like during the regular season, a little preview, like, oh yeah, jog your memory. The World Series is like getting warped to another planet. It's like something completely, or like
one way to put it.
It's like an alternate dimension. Like, okay, it's still New Smyrna Speedway, but what's going on? What is this?
What day is it?
So I was this is our 10th regular season, and I'm not quite to the 10-year anniversary, but this is the 10th regular season, and maybe more than ever, I was so anxious to just get back to the routine of, okay, we're going out there every single Saturday, because, I mean, for multiple reasons. We're creatures of habit as human beings, but in a more, like, me-specific type of thing, like, I wanted to get new stuff up on the channel.
Yeah.
And I'm always working on this YouTube channel. Yes. Before we came over here, I was re-editing something from, I say re-editing, I was doing a different version of some races that happened in 2019. And I scheduled that video to go up sometime in 2026. And that's what I do. I'm always just planning out what's going to be hitting the channel, but I wanted to get new stuff on there again, and that's
Well,
that's
where
what's
you
exciting.
know most of your eyeballs are.
Of course, and that's
And
you
the
know.
World Series is so hard because you've got to wait 30 days. All of that stuff has just now gone up as we speak.
Thank you for the reminder. I did
Yeah.
want to point that out. If anybody is waiting on World Series stuff and hasn't noticed it, all of those videos are on Speedway Video on YouTube now.
So I always like to ask this because you have had some ups and downs in your career with the racing thing, because you're not and I've mentioned this several times and I rehash it, but you're not a natural race fan like most of us that are listening to this show. You're a fan of video, and that's how we got you to become our videographer and turn it into Speedway Video and all that. And so I was just curious, what's the mindset going into the season? What's the outlook? How are things going with the channel and all that?
That's a really good question. Over the years, the one thing the off season gives me a chance to do is get excited about trying new things again. And a lot of what has happened over the years has just taught me exactly what I was just saying about, let's just get the new content out there. And of course, I have to try to sustain the channel financially. I have to find the time to work on it, and the resources and all of that, and the viewers and the drivers and team members and everything help out so much by supporting through the Patreon and all of that. That really is what keeps it going. That really is the reason why Speedway Video is still a thing, is because of people who have joined the Patreon to support it month to month. But it gives me the opportunity to be like, oh, well, what if I tried this cool effect? Or what if I introduced this new video series? Or what if I had like a transition between the slow-mo replays and the live action and all of this? And I've tried all that stuff over the years. And what I've learned is just people want to see the races, man.
Yep.
So, I do have some new ideas this season that I'm implementing in certain, hopefully subtler, tolerable ways, but it's nothing too fancy. It's just like, okay, what works? What is my workflow? Let's get back into that. Just like what happened on Saturday, here you go.
Well, if anybody did watch the video from the full event this week, they did notice something new. You did get a new intro.
Yeah. I haven't used an intro in quite a while because it's just like
just cuts to them coming off of turn 2 down the backstretch, and we raced.
Precious seconds. Let's just get to the racing. And I finally decided, you know what, I need to be a little more shameless,
Sure.
Just a little more. And I wanted it to the animator I'm working with is named Kong Vector. And what you see in the videos now is not the final version. Hopefully it gets cleaned up even a little bit more as the next several weeks go by. But I wanted something that like it's fun to watch, it's satisfying to watch. That was my main thing that I like put in bold and underlined when I was working with the animator, was like I want it to feel satisfying. And I licensed new theme music because I felt like the old theme music, even though I've been using it for 8-9 years, I thought it was kind of obnoxious. Like, if
I guess
if
after listening to it for so long, it'll do that to you, right?
and I hear it a lot because I'm doing the editing. But
Right.
if you do wait until the end of each video when you hear it, because I would only put it at the end of each race, it's as soon as Ryan stops talking, and I'm like, okay, so this one, it's a similar feel, but I don't think it's quite as obnoxious. But it also does put in your face right at the beginning of every video with a cool graphic, like, "Hey, support the channel." If you have the means to do that, if you're in a position where you can support that and it means something to you to do that, the links are down below. You can buy a T-shirt, you can buy something for your car from Jegs and use my link, and then I get a kickback from that. You can join the Patreon, which that last one is the most helpful.
Right. And any YouTube channel that you visit regularly, how do they start a video? Tell you to do all that stuff, or at the end of the video,
Make sure you like and subscribe.
Do all that stuff. So
yeah,
you gotta do what you gotta do to, keep up with everything. It costs money to get out there. It costs money to eat. It costs you time to then sit down and edit, and you've got 2 very active children kids that are, they need, you got to do what you got to do for them too. So all of that equates to, help the man out. If you can, if you're not subscribed, first of all, that's the easiest thing you can do to help him out. And comment on the videos, like them, keep the algorithm going so it gets out to more people and more people can see your races, and then hopefully come out to the track, whether it be for a regular show or World Series. Because
that does help a lot.
Traveling. So
one of my, I don't know if I would say my favorite YouTubers, but one YouTuber that I watch has my favorite sign off at the end of every one of his videos. He says, "And guys, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the dislike." And I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, it's still engagement. Sometimes
engagement is the key. And that's what we're all looking for in this social media world we live in. I remember during Governor's Cup, posting about every little thing I could to try to make it seem like it was a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal, but to make it seem like there was stuff going on. And I just felt like, Tom, nobody gave a shit, to be frank. And I'm like, we got Stephen Nasse coming. We've got Donnie Wilson Motorsports coming. We've got this good championship battle brewing. Now, none of it came to fruition because of the weather, but I'm just like, what is happening? Why does nobody care? And that on top of, because I work hard on those big events with the social media stuff, I spend a lot of time like you making posts and graphics and submitting entries and posting information. And when I feel like it's not getting any attention, it's discouraging.
That's
and
the
that
word.
On top of the rain out, is the reason why the show went, it went dark for a little while because I needed to just collect my thoughts and kind of rebooted here in January. So I can understand like the social media world, when you're not getting the engagement, it can be very discouraging. And I know you felt that, especially when you were trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. I remember the struggle back when YouTube changed its policies and you weren't getting any kickback from the views on YouTube. That was tough for you. And
Yep. And thank goodness they haven't demonetized me because they've changed those policies
I'm
again.
Sure.
And on my
what is
personal
it now?
channel,
what do you need? What's the minimum now?
I wouldn't know how to describe it in short because there's sort of like a spectrum
like an
of
algorithm
eligibility
to it?
Yeah, and it's different depending on whether your channel is focused on videos or shorts now. And I'll put out shorts occasionally to try to, it makes the channel more discoverable. But I don't do a lot of that. But my personal channel that I just do for fun because I enjoy editing videos, and it'll be family videos or maybe like some video game clips or whatever. I had a video recently hit 1 million views, and so I thought, oh man, I don't think I want to monetize this, but I probably could because 1 million people watched this video. Let me see, and it still was not eligible.
Damn.
And my personal channel, thanks to that video that has over 1 million views, now has more subscribers than Speedway Video did when I was struggling to get remonetized with that.
Oh, wow. So it really has changed.
Yeah, but, the consistency has been there to a certain extent, like, heading toward the 10th anniversary. I'm on my road to 10,000 subscribers on Speedway Video, and that's pretty good for a channel of my size.
Yeah,
it
for
also
a very
makes me wonder,
niche thing that we do.
Yeah. And so when a video goes up and only gets 1,000 views, and then I see like in the analytics, only 20% of the people who watched it are subscribers, it makes me wonder. But I try to learn from that, and I try, that's when you see on Thursday, the throwback all events video always goes up at 6 p.m. That's because I've studied the analytics, and it shows me that that's probably a good day to post that kind of content for, like, most of your viewers who like this kind of video are online at this time. And I'm like,
Facebook tells me that stuff too, and I'm like, well, I'm online now, so it's going up now.
Yeah,
I've got to feed my kid and do a bubble bath later tonight. So,
and of course, we've got different, different sort of thing. You're getting information out there about Stephen Nasse coming to the Governor's Cup,
right?
And I'm
You're
like,
trying
okay,
to get people to watch videos. So
yeah,
it's a whole different. People will see mine, whereas they'll see yours, and I ain't got time for that right now. And
sure,
then they'll come back hopefully and watch the whole thing. But
yeah, and YouTube will show me when they clicked away from the video. I'll see that dip.
Yeah,
they have that little graph.
You probably know like what the highlight of the night is,
yes.
and you can probably kind of picture in your mind where you could probably kind of picture. Well, this is probably going to taper off after the truck race, because the truck race was the standout highlight of the night, or maybe it was the Bomber B crash. I don't know how that all kind of worked out, but either way, you probably saw a dip off after the truck race. And I mean,
it kind of looks like a slide.
That makes sense. And we're going to talk about the opener from New Smyrna, because there's plenty to talk about there. But That truck race was so good. You made its own video today that went up.
Yes, I know that was a last minute schedule change.
Yeah, I thought you were going to put that up later in the
drive.
week, but I'm glad it entertained me at the end of work. So
the only reason I put it up, well, this is probably a little bit too much inside baseball, but Friday is usually when I post my clip style videos. And that's one of them.
One of the best you've ever done is the Nasty versus Byron Governor's Cup video, by the way. But
anyway. And that was one where, again, inside baseball, I'm embargoed on those videos, and I had already put up the Governor's Cup highlight reel, but it was such a good race, and I wanted to see if I could get some more attention on it.
Yeah.
And so the Nasty versus Byron video was basically just like a remixed highlight reel. Like here's I can within the
that was
terms,
your workaround. Yeah, you couldn't put the full race up.
And I thought about doing that with the Richie Evans this year, but the Richie Evans I shouldn't even say this because I want people to watch the video, but it wasn't as exciting a race as it usually is. But circling back, that is the video that I already had scheduled to go up on Friday, is the isolated Richie Evans. So if you just want to watch that race and you don't want to have to fast forward through anything or click any links.
You mean my speech isn't going to be in there?
That did have quite the preamble, didn't it? But and hey, honoring the cigar man, it's all good. But that's all in the all events video.
Ben's, I say my speech. It was Ben's speech that I had the privilege to read.
Yes.
And, the first night during the Blue It, I was nervous and I wanted it to be perfect, and I know it wasn't, but I came out for the Evans and just boom, I nailed it.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I was proud of that one. So even though I didn't write it, but for Ben to send that to me to speak for him on his behalf, that meant a lot. So
yeah.
And I digress.
Just getting away from talking about, here's how I schedule stuff and here's how I financially sustain the channel and thank you to the viewers. And I mean all of that. And the reason I repeat it so often is because I do mean it. I love that I'm commemorating that kind of stuff. Like when I film something like that, that means something. And I love that it's there always. That's
where your channel has more value than can ever be, written up monetarily. That's the kind of stuff I go back to when we first started and I look at how different things are. The pits look different. Mm-hmm. The atmosphere is different. I was talking to Jane Hart today, as a matter of fact, about, some things that we can do collectively, all of us together, to keep that atmosphere growing and going, because things have changed a lot over the past couple of years, and you have to change because the culture has changed, the racing climate has changed, the way people take things in has changed. And if we just sit back and do the same old, and the same for the channel, if you just sit back and do nothing, then nothing grows. So we're all working hard to find ways. So you sit there and you're like, what's going to get views during the week from the channel, since I only do this once a week? And the track's sitting there, what can we do to keep people entertained, even though we're already giving them racing to keep them entertained? What else can we do? So things are always evolving and changing, and you can't ever just sit back. That's why this show has changed since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
For 2 years, I had a format, and we had to have 3 segments, and I had to fill all this time, and I was doing all this extra stuff. And like you, I learned and I realized what people want to hear, and that's what I'm giving them. So, this show, it's not going to have segments. We're just going to talk about a few certain things, and when it ends, it ends. So
yeah, you got to figure out, and of course, you have to edit in the parts that say and thank you to the people who are supporting the podcast, and that's the balance I strike as well. Is how do I just get down to the core of here's what the viewers want to see, but also make sure that they still get to be able to see it by saying, also, here's how you can support the channel, and thank you to the people who do support it. It's very similar. If anybody is curious about supporting the channel, actually, it is very, very similar to supporting the Racin' with Ryan podcast. But I understand the change that you're talking about, and I think this is factored in as well. Some of the stuff that I just love to see, and I referenced earlier that I was looking at footage from 2019, and that is true, specifically the red eye. I was looking back at that, and of course, prior to that, I was looking at the Governor's Cup from 2018, and just seing the difference in how they painted the track walls, and the difference in the banners that are hung up.
Not gonna lie.
I know, I do. Every time that change is change, and every time you see it for the first time, it's like, oh no, what did they do? But yeah, then and it's the this is super specific, but the kind of yellow script. I think is it Speedway? It says New Smyrna, and then I think the script says Speedway.
Something like that.
Is that right?
Yeah.
that got added in like, I think it was 2018. And I
then we
remember
added
when it was
the website after that.
Yes.
And that's what it's kind of been for a long
yeah,
time.
and so when it was new, I remember going like, oh no, it was so much classier before. And now I've seen that for the vast majority of the time that I've been at the track, and I like it. And I was surprised to go back and look at the 2018 footage and be like, oh, that's when it was that long ago.
Well, I'll tell you, back in the day, in a lot of the video games like iRacing and back when I used to play NASCAR 2003, the rendition of New Smyrna Speedway had, you know, around the inside of the racetrack, they have those tiered beams that make up the walls on the inside of the racetrack, because those were put there after the fact. The New Smyrna Speedway used to be an open, like it used to be open in the infield. Cars would spin into the pits, and as the cars got faster and bigger and there was more of them, they had to eventually build that inside wall, which, if you've ever wondered why the wall is so janky at New Smyrna, it's because it was added after the fact, and it's these tiered beams. And the reason I bring that up is those used to all be yellow. Okay. And it was, boy, I look at old videos, it just, it was awful. Like, I get that yellow is one of our, like, secondary colors.
Very secondary.
Yeah, very secondary. Yeah. But for the longest time, those were all yellow, and it was ugly. I like, white to me is a clean look. So come World Series and come Governor's Cup, when we get that fresh coat of paint, the place just looks good. And, you know, our track, our facilities, now sometimes the bathrooms get backed up, but our facilities overall.
Sounds like you had an experience recently.
I just know how the World Series goes with all those people using the bathroom. But that's like the biggest complaint every year is your bathrooms they get backed up and then they're terrible. But our facilities so nice. Our stands are nice. Even the new American flag grandstands. I love seeing the pictures that people share when they come to visit for World Series or Governor's Cup, and then they're sharing pictures throughout the year, and you see those American flag. It's just it has a unique, classy look to it.
Yeah, it's now been there for what, like
4 or 5 years now, something like that.
Yeah, like 1/12 of the time that New Smyrna has been around, but it's become one of those new signature things that you know you're
people
at New Smyrna
love,
when
like
you
people
see
that have those social media people that follow them around. They always go down there and take a picture of that car streaking by those cool looking grandstands.
And you know, there was that guy, just a fan from New Hampshire at the season opener that you saw me chatting with.
Yeah,
one of the first things he said to me was like, "Wow, what a nice facility you guys have." Yeah, the
facility is like, we've got a lot of good things going that help make up for the shortcomings that we don't need to get into, and we're all aware of what they are. But at the end of the day,
that one raised platform on the, or not platform,
that one bubble gut there in the tower.
If you've ever been up on the tower, right behind me, there's that one that goes ga-junk, ga-junk when you step on it.
I hear it every time.
And it throws off the balance of the camera too.
But at the end of the day, you know, we could sit here and Tom and I could nitpick things. We've been working there long enough. We know some of the ins and outs, but very thankful to be able to do what we do. And you know, back when you first started, you weren't able to have a channel. That all was stuff that got worked in later on down the road, and it's grown.
DVDs.
And God, I'm sure you don't miss that.
No.
Nor I'm sure the drivers don't either. They like being able to just pop onto the internet and watch them, as do I. You know, I watched back that truck race today just because it was so good, and I think I was telling you about it. I missed Gorham kind of hitting the wall off too. Like, I knew it happened, but I didn't. I was watching live. I kind of, you know, I got some blind spots in the tower where the way the tower is built. So I was kind of dancing around, and I knew he hit the wall, but I didn't. And I watched back. I'm like, oh, he was just driving his ass off, and he just bounced off the wall.
Also, I'm in situations like that. I'm so zoomed in that if you don't immediately call something that's happened that I notice in my viewfinder, I'm like, it's so far away. He's just looking with his eyeballs. Like, oh.
Well, I think one of the best things about the way that your channel, and I know we're still talking about your channel here. One of the best way that it's evolved is now that we have the audio and you can hear what I'm talking about. I love how, because my eyes are constantly darting around, and you know this, but you try to do a steady thing with the camera. Watching about the truck race today, I noticed you were framed in on Beckham Monopoly battling Grayson Greaves for 4th or 5th spot, whatever that was. And I had mentioned that, and I said, but up front, it's closing in, and you slowly leave that battle because you heard me say it, and I watched your camera slowly pan, and you follow the rest of the field around, and you slowly catch up with the leaders off of 2 as George Gorham made his last run. And I love that, you know, because I talked about it last week, these broadcasts come in, they want their announcers to watch the video, and we've kind of got the opposite thing. You're kind of, you're doing your thing, but you're also listening to what I'm watching, and you try to find it without just moving the camera all over the damn place.
I love
So,
that you actually noticed that. I know
I did,
exactly
yes.
what moment you're
Yes.
talking about, and it's every single event. I'm listening, and it's different when there are 40 tour mods out there, and I can't
Right.
hear anything, even when it's at highest volume blasting right into my eardrums.
Right.
But during the truck race, even with as many trucks as they brought out there, I could hear what you were saying, and I was like, okay, I know where I need to,
Yep.
because I'm always trying to find what I think is the most exciting story.
right. And then
to
I'm all
follow.
over the place. So
But-
it's hard. And I don't
Yeah.
just sit there and talk about one thing for 20 laps. So
And talk about, I mean, that was a fun race to film because sometimes, and this happened a lot on night 9 of the World Series, which was another really fun night, but it was also a challenge because there would be stories all over the
Yeah,
track,
things
and
are
it was
spread
difficult
out.
to figure out what to follow. The truck race was interesting because that had the same thing going on. You had Becca and Monopoly getting that bad restart and getting swallowed up and needing to try to battle back for position. You had George Gorham versus French guy,
Anthony
Quebecer. Lassard,
Yep.
thank you. And you had Jeff White with the mechanical issues having to start from the back because
And
he
then
didn't
coming
make it.
back through.
And so I was trying to follow all of it. And I actually, other people might watch the video and have a different opinion, but I felt like I was able to capture all that. And part of that is thankfully able, that I'm able to hear you in my ear. By the way, season opener 2021, that's when that got added. Just earlier
wow.
today.
So we've been doing that for 4 years now.
As if I knew that we were going to talk about it. Just earlier today, I was. It was because I was editing that 2019 video. I was kind of like, when did I finally start doing that? It couldn't have been too much longer past this point, and I started clicking on all these videos to see, and it was.
Well, that was one of the biggest things that people love the videos, but they're like, man, you got to get the announcers because we'd love to hear what's going on. It makes it easier to follow the race and helps with engagement. But it took us a
tells the
long
story.
time to, and I don't know, I'm so terrible with this as an audio guy. I'm so terrible with new technology. I didn't know what, and thankfully you're able to find something that works 9 times out of 10. And it really has added a lot to the channel. And I know people really do appreciate it. And that's all because people have been supporting the channel. So
yes, yeah. It keeps coming back. Part of me does feel bad because it sounds like an advertisement, but it's the absolute truth that it comes back to that. During the
I'm
World
just trying to
Series-
say that you have taken, you support your life, but you've also taken what you've got in and added to the channel and made it better and better. And sometimes you take some stuff, you reel some stuff in because you learn what works and what, an extra camera seems, put a camera down the backstretch. Well, that makes my editing 3 times as long. If you want the videos to be the day of, it's got to be chopped down.
Exactly.
So you've figured out what's worked for the channel, and I think people really appreciate waking up the next morning and seeing how bad they wrecked, or how awesome they looked in Victory Lane.
Yes, and on night 7 of the World Series when my audio equipment died, and Carrie Mae was standing right next to me, and I'm filming, and I watched back the video, and I'm like, oh. It actually looked okay, but I am simultaneously filming the race and trying to troubleshoot my audio and my Bluetooth. This isn't what it died before this, but as I'm trying to troubleshoot it, I knocked it off of my tripod and it just fell. And Carrie's trying to spot for Brad, and she's just like, "Oh my gosh, oh no!" And I'm like, "Don't
and you're
worry
both
about
like,
it."
wow,
Yeah.
well,
It is.
that was night 7. I think for both of us was our most trying night of the World Series. I'm glad you didn't have audio that night because my brain didn't work. That short circuited and.
Because of the Patreon support, I was able, without thinking, to hop right on Amazon and overnight a replacement.
Yeah.
And so that morning, for in time for night 8, I was able to get a replacement out there.
Right. So
is it as good as the old one was? No, the old one was really good, but the
way
fact is
my
it wasn't
phone works,
working
if I
anymore,
turn it a
so-
certain way, all I can hear is the direct input. So,
But thankfully, as you've been very involved with, it's been a learning curve. And that season opener for 2021, I had a Bluetooth speaker hanging off of the tripod.
It was a speaker into the speaker of the camera,
And
which
so
was
if you were,
tiny little.
if like Carrie Mae standing next to me spotting for Brad, she could hear you right there coming out because it was
speaker into speaker, and it was archaic as hell, but it was how. And that just shows the evolution, and that's kind of what we've been getting at here. This whole part of the show, but it's always fun to talk to you and learn. It seems so easy. It's just a man standing up there with a camera, but there's a lot that goes into it. It's just like announcing. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot can be screwed up, and I'll tell you, even on Saturday night, there was just so much going on that it was easy to get. I felt like it took me. Now I know I did. Just like we talked about earlier, we did Red Eye, we did Family Fun Night, we did the World Series. So it should be we're on a 12th event of the year. But it's like starting all over again. And I
Yeah.
felt like it took me through the heat races to kind of settle in. And I couldn't say Ashley Holmes Jack's trucks because I was excited about getting going with the races. And then I couldn't say eligibility in the Pro Truck heat race. And,
because we always debrief on
yeah.
the ride home because we ride together out to the track and back. And you were like, oh, man, did you hear how my brain was so scrambled during the heats? And I didn't, because this is the kind of stuff that we notice. Like I was just talking about the camera being a little shaky during the heats. Yes, because of the wind, but also because of what you're talking about. Okay, I haven't done this in 4 or 5 weeks. My kids were asking to come out to the race with me. And I was like, I want to bring you out there, but Daddy's working. I need to like remind myself how I do this, even though I'm going into my 10th regular season. Like, let me wrap my head around this.
It has a feel. Like there's a feel that goes into what we do.
But I'm guessing that most people watching probably didn't notice the shaky cam. And when you asked me, hey, did you notice that I couldn't get my words out right? I didn't notice. Again, until today, when I was going back through the heats to like, I was like, all right, I'm doing this podcast to like, let me refresh my memory. And I watched the races back and I was like, oh, he couldn't say eligibility.
No, I stumbled over it like 3 times. And
that's the
like,
one specific thing that I noticed, because you were talking about rookie status for a certain driver.
Yeah. Yeah. And I knew like driving home, I couldn't remember this specifically because so much had gone on in the night, but to sit down and talk about it, I know exactly what it is now. And it's just,
Like,
I can say it all. Yeah. Well, listen, I'm human. Somebody asked me one time if my announcing was done by AI because it was so good to them apparently.
Right,
Nope. Human being here. So, and that's the other thing about Speedway video. Now you get to hear every single time I mess up, unless I specifically tell Tom to get it out of the video, which only happened one time.
Which has only happened one time.
Because I completely had a stroke. So
that was Gage, right? Gage has retained his rookie eligibility for the 2025 season?
It was either Gage or Grayson.
Okay.
I was one of the two of them. I'd have to now go back. I didn't go back and watch that part because I didn't want to hear it, but I just over the past couple of days, I remembered what it was. I was talking about eligibility was the word. I can say it perfectly, even after a couple of Budelites. So, real quick, I want to talk about what else you have going on using kind of Speedway video as a stepping stone. Not that you're going anywhere, but you have the opportunity to do some other things here throughout the racing season to kind of supplement your talents that you have. What else do you have going on this year?
Yeah, and there's maybe I'm more worried about this than I need to be, but on off weeks from New Smyrna, previously I was going out to tracks like Citrus and Auburndale, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved the people, and I love the support that I still get from them in some regards. And I miss going out to Auburndale. It's a lot of fun. It's such a fun track. Yeah. Like, if I'm being brutally honest, I have more fun at Auburndale sometimes than I do at New Smyrna. It's such a cool atmosphere, and I really enjoy just that specific
those
bull
close
ring
quarters
is so fun. But it really is trying to sustain, like looking at the nuts and bolts of sustaining. And I know you were teeing this up positively. I really am more worried about this than I think I should be, but it's about sustaining Speedway video and making sure that I can keep that going, and looking at like what track do I need to prioritize, and then what do I need to prioritize on my off weekends. And so, it's kind of funny. I don't even remember how this originally crossed my path. Was it the thing that makes the most sense is that Dirt Dauber probably sent something my way, because John Horn has always been a good friend of Speedway video, and I hope people are watching Dirt Dauber's stuff too.
Yeah, I feel like he has been one of the people to be in other people's ears if they've needed help about, hey, what about the guy from, whether it be Tom or whether the guy from New Smyrna.
Right.
But I remember last year being in Vermont and somebody reaching out to me asking if I had your number.
Yes, that's what it was.
I think it was Mark who was looking to get somebody to help out.
Mm-hmm. So, and he's such a fun guy to work with, who used to call races at New Smyrna as well.
Called Clyde Hart with me, not this year, but the year before.
That's right. But over the years, I kept on saying no. I guess it was when John Horn would pass along like, oh, hey, there's such and such, needs a camera guy. You going to do it? And I'm like, no, sorry, I only film for myself. Mm-hmm. And you and I have had the conversation over the years where I always said no. Even specifically no to filming for Racing America back when they were Speed 51. I think I was more crude about it. And I was just like, hell no, I would never film for them. I'm just Speedway video. But the opportunity opened up last year when you got that wire from Mark, and I filmed for them a couple times last year when I had the opportunity to, and it was a lot of fun, and it was a positive experience, and it just made me think, like, you know what, I feel like this will help me sustain the core of what I do with Speedway Video, more than some of the other risks I was taking, if you will.
Sure.
So while I do consider myself to have grown into a Central Florida YouTube channel, you know, I theoretically I still like going out to those things. I have prioritized for 2025 the more channel supporting efforts of going out to. It's going to include Auburndale, and Freedom Factory
yep.
and Cordeal.
Okay.
So that cool. one will be different. That's the one that I haven't been to yet.
That'll be new for you. That'll be a new experience. I've never been there. I've been there. I've driven to it, but I've never seen a race there.
And so. I got some offers for Montgomery as well, and that one was just so much of a hike that I decided let's not. Actually, you know what? I think those didn't line up with my schedule. But what, again, inside baseball. It's just I was looking at the drive out to Montgomery and back, and I was like, I don't know about that one. But I can do the 4 hours with good traffic, 4 hours up to Cordeal and back. And that's been fun working with Mark and the team and figuring out their equipment.
Yeah, well, I just think that's a cool opportunity, and that just shows if you do a good job with what you do, other opportunities can come. And you know, like you, I've taken several opportunities to go to different tracks. I mean, hell, I did Orlando a couple of weeks ago, not because I was typically like, oh, I want to go do this crash run. I wanted to help somebody, William Hyman. If it wasn't William Hyman that reached out to me personally, I would have been like, nah, I'm not going to do that. I got other things I can do.
Yeah.
I just got done with the World Series. I want to rest.
And importantly, not to cut you off, but New Smyrna wasn't running. Your priority, like, if New Smyrna's running, you're there. And the same thing, if anybody's hearing me say this and they're like, oh no, he's not, he's just going to go film for Racing America.
Right.
I only schedule it on the off weeks.
Right. And you've been very upfront and clear with them. Like, hey, I'm available these days. You use me if you want. And if they don't, then you go spend time with your family, go to the beach like you guys like to do, SeaWorld or whatever. But no, that's what I do too. I mean, on the off weekends, and I mean, back when we first started, we didn't have off weekends. Now we've got, you usually get 1 week a month that we get off. And I like to go to the other tracks to watch and have some stuff to talk to you guys about on the podcast, or just to, like I talked about last week, just go out and hide and just watch racing because that's what I like. So I'm glad
sometimes you don't want to turn it into work.
Right. Well, that's what I was trying to avoid last week at Auburndale, and Bobby Rowland's like, "Oh, we got Ryan from New Smyrna here," and I'm like, "Don't look at me. I'm not here. I was a race fan."
If Bobby's there, he's gonna find you.
Oh, I know. And I was like, going down here, going down this aisle. So, but no, man, I think that's super cool. I mean, selfishly, I'd love to just be able to, hey, we're going to Auburndale, but now Auburndale's got stuff with Pit Road TV, and the opportunities are less there anyway.
And to their credit, again, I'm more worried about this than I need to be, but to their credit, certain people at Auburndale who know who they are did try to work out something with me as well, and it didn't quite get there, but you know.
Well, it just shows that people have taken notice of what you do, and we talked about shortcomings earlier. We've got a lot of good things going, you know, and that's what Jane said to me. She was, Jane Hart calls, it's either your heart stops for a second. You're like, oh God. But no, I had a really good conversation with her today, and she's very positive and upbeat. She thought the season opener went well and was encouraged, and just wants to see that atmosphere continue. And
I'm glad. It was a good show.
She just thinks that we have a lot of good things going on. So let's go ahead and talk about the season opener.
All right.
Pretty good one, I would say.
Yes.
We've had a couple of duds over the years as far as season openers go.
Yeah, and I guess the duds are the ones you don't really remember. They're not remarkable enough, but there have been some that didn't set the right tone. And I know, oddly, this wasn't even the originally planned season opener.
Yeah. No, there was another event that was originally scheduled. I can't remember what the headliner was.
I think it was Super Lates.
No, because we got Super Lates this weekend.
So
I don't think they would have run them within 2 weeks of each other.
I thought that too, but
maybe it was pros.
It might have been pros.
Maybe
I
it
feel
was
like
Mod Minis.
I know they had Bomber A's because I've heard Bomber A drivers. Some of them were disappointed they lost a race.
I know E-Mods were.
Okay, yes, that's right.
Yep.
So other Bomber A drivers I talked to were grateful that they had more time to work on their stuff.
From what I understand with that, there was another event that has been run in the past that has nothing to do with our local racing that was scheduled for last year, got canceled late in the going, that they were trying to get back on the schedule. So they cleared up that date and it still didn't materialize. So for those wondering, that's why it
just like with me with the Racing America dates, that's the track trying to prioritize what is going to be good for them so they can keep these seasons coming.
And sometimes in Auburndale does it too. They've got these wacky side-by-side Jeep days that they do now, and they're just trying to find ways to keep the place open, to invest in the property, to keep the short track stuff going in the long run. And that's what we have to look at. And it's fine. I would like to be there every single week doing stock car stuff, but it's just not. It's a different time. And anyways, but back to the season opener. I would say that for a weekly show at New Smyrna, it was a very enjoyable night. Now, just to get the elephant out of the room, the modifieds were less than to be desired. But in the races, sometimes we have low car count and the races are good. These modified races were not that great. So let's just call it what it is. They weren't that great, but that's not a discredit to those that showed up.
I mean, my macro take there is, and I said it earlier, I have a different perspective than the people who have their head in it more than I do. And so I know that the Night 9 local showcase of the World Series was controversial, to say the least. I had a blast with it, which is saying a lot for the 9th night of a 9-night series. Like that's the night where I'm coming in and the only energy I have is just my pleasure in realizing that I don't have to do it again on the 10th day.
Right.
And I thought it was such a fun night of racing.
When the guys who do the TV broadcasts that they can say what they want because they don't work for the track, when they come in and say, this was actually pretty cool. Now it can build and be give us 3 or 4 more cars per class, and you've got a really good thing here. I think they saw the change and were kind of thinking the same as a lot of people were, but then they were like, this actually was pretty fun.
Yeah.
So I think there was a stepping stone. It was a different thing, but it worked and we can make it better now.
It was a lot of fun, and I bring it up because I had a very similar feeling about the racing for the season opener. I just thought it was so fun, and the support classes really showed out.
They really
and there
did.
was so much competition in them, and that word competition is the only thing that's missing from the main event class of the modifieds.
Right.
And I always want to pay my respect to the modifieds because even though I only came into this 10 years ago, the picture has been painted for me a lot through your the historical lens of your commentary, that even though you've got the glitz and the glam of the super late models, the modifieds are really the stalwarts of the track. And when you look at somebody like a Jerry Simons, like that's New Smyrna history
that
right
particular
there.
modified class is very important to the weekly stuff that we do at the track. Ask Jane Hart and she'll tell you we're a modified track. Whether that be tour mods or Florida mods, they're important to the racetrack. And a couple of years ago, I was hard on the class. I said, maybe we just need to combine it with the E-mods and have just one modified class because those guys can afford to go down. And then last year, we had a little bit of a resurgence. We had Cody Stickler showing up. We had Jason Lester showing up. We had Richie Smith coming back. But we had all those guys at the same time for most of the week. Brad Bowman. And we were getting 10 to 12 of these things a week, up from the 5 or 6 that we were getting a couple of years ago. So I had higher hopes going into the season opener, but reading the tea leaves on Facebook, Brad Bowman, I knew he wasn't coming back after the way Speed Weeks went for him. He's a little frustrated. Hopefully we'll see him again soon. But I also understand where he's coming from. Brian Gayton's on the sidelines right now. Wayne Parker, our champion, he's retired. And I didn't believe him at first, but now I do. We had a race and he wasn't there. We'll see how long it lasts. Wink, wink. But, there were some guys missing for sure.
But every single car out there was a good car.
Yeah.
Even the car that came in last place, even the cars that pulled off before the race was over with, they were good cars.
Well, Jerry Simons blew a motor. I mean,
yeah. It's just that the competition isn't there, and
Right.
it's partially the count, it's partially the disparity throughout the field. I mean, I liked there are drivers out there, without singling anybody out in particular, that I just like seeing them out there doing their thing.
Tank Tucker.
It's just, oh my gosh, right? And I was grateful to get to chat with him very, very briefly as he came to pick up his pay. Just say that I don't think he knows who the hell I am. But I just said, glad to see you back. Talks to who I'm guessing is his grandson a little bit. Who I was wearing my neon vest, and he said, "Oh, did you race tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh no." But seems like a cool kid. But yeah, I was glad to see it, and I'm not upset with what we got. But it is hard to say that it wasn't disappointing that it kind of looked like an extended practice session, apart from the first race's battle for fourth, I want to say, between Shane Held and Van Devender.
Yes, no, that there was a good battle. But yeah, things got strung out, and you could kind of tell how it was going to go about 5 laps into the race. And I think that's all we're really saying. I mean, how about the effort for Richie Smith and Bubba Van Devender going up to South Alabama on Friday and then coming back to race with us basically on their way home Saturday? I mean, they could have said, no, we're going to South Alabama. That's the big race this weekend. To hell with New Smyrna. And we could have had 4 cars. But instead, those guys made a big, big effort. And I made sure I knew Bubba was there because he won the thing. So it was all over Facebook. And I guess I had seen that Richie Smith was there, but it didn't stick with me like Bubba's did because he went and won the thing. So it was cool to have those guys make the effort. Of course, we had Jerry Simons there. We had Shane Held there.
Alan Bruns looking like a tube of toothpaste.
And you know what? To move the schedule around a little bit so that Alan could be there when you don't have many cars, I think a lot of people are okay with that. And if anybody wasn't, I ask you to check yourself and look in the mirror and hope that they'd be willing to do it for you.
We don't have a banner in front of the tech shed anymore. So when you said he was going through pre-race tech, we could actually look down and see what was happening.
That's a nice looking car.
Yeah. It looks like a tube of toothpaste.
And it really did. It really
does.
And then Matt Jarrett was there, but he had problems in practice. So,
I was wondering.
We had one more car than what made an appearance. So 7. I was hoping. I was kind of telling me and Skinny were kind of talking a little bit. I'm like, I think we'll have 8 to 10. We had 7. 6 started, and then 5 started the second race, and the results are all the same. Richie Smith won both races. Tank Tucker was second in both races. Bubba Van Devender was third in both races. However, like Tom mentioned, he had to battle hard with Shane Held in the first race to get that third spot. Second race, he kind of ran away with third. Shane Held was fourth in both races. Alan Bruns fifth in both races. Jerry Simons sixth in race 1. Retired due to motor issues, did not race 2, and then Matt Jarrett, DNS in both events. So that's the modifieds. And, a lot of people probably thought it was fluff, me saying, I think this will build throughout the year. I honestly believe that it will. I think we get back to double digits before the season is done with the modifieds. I think they'll regroup and come back. So, it's just like the Sun Belt race back a couple of years ago when there's only 5 or 6 cars, and that grew. I think the modifieds will. I was very encouraged by their World Series. The drop off from World Series to this race was unexpectedly disappointing, but I think it'll get better. So I'm not going to harp on it. Everything else made up for it. So so let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to go down the list here as it is on New Smyrna's website. Let's talk about the Superstock race.
All right.
9 cars, which for the Superstocks lately has been a good field.
And hey, for as exciting as the race was, I would have guessed more.
Yeah, I mean, they were good cars too. I mean, there was not a bad car in the field, and I was encouraged. I honestly thought there was going to be only about 5 or 6 Superstocks. So we got 9, which I'd like to see double digits every week, but what a great race. I mean, no caution flags, and yet the battle for the lead was so exciting side by side with George Spears and Tyler Pernesti. And I'll tell you, I thought when Tyler cleared George with about 7-8 laps to go, I thought he was going to drive off into the sunset. Unfortunately for Tyler, George was able to kind of be a veteran and regroup, kind of cool his tires a little bit, made that late race charge, got back by. You could see Tyler's car because he had to work the inside, and it's so tough down there in the bottom. You use a lot of equipment, you use a lot of tires.
Started losing the handling by the end, it looked like.
He did. The car started to go away a little bit, and George when he regrouped and got back on the charge, he was able to get back by him. And George, being the veteran, I mean,
it was such a smart drive from George.
It was, and that's the thing. Like, people were probably like, "Oh man, I really want to see Tyler win," but then you really got to appreciate what George was able to do with that car, because we've seen so many races where somebody fades back to second and third, and then you don't see him again. And a lot of times, the guy who gets to the lead past the halfway point, they're gone, and that's it. But George was able to get the win, and I really, really loved the battle between George and Tyler, because they barely touched. Maybe a rub here or there because it was close quarters racing. But man, it was fun to watch.
And of course, it calls to mind the battle between George and Blake from 2023, I believe, August or July, somewhere around there.
That night where George came out and said, Blake has made it, basically.
Yeah, and Blake came up to him and said, "That was the best race of my life." And George said, Mine too.
And George has been doing this for 25 years.
Yeah, so that was so cool. And it was one of those, the race was so good that you could believe it. I didn't think that was just a line.
Because we've seen so many dramatic things out of the super stocks where guys are battling for the lead and they wreck each other and they hate each other. So it's been nice over the past year and a half to see it evolve into like just good hard racing instead of like everybody trying to kill each other.
And it'll be extremely satisfying to get for no one more than Tyler than to see Tyler get that win, and we'll know that it'll be an earned win. But man, how cool was it to, especially, Tyler's been a good friend of the channel, so especially with the bright yellow paint and that, I always notice him when he's out there. And he's told me before, hey, he's one of the smart viewers. He's like, I know how the videos work. If I'm blowing away the rest of the field, you're not going to be filming me because it's boring just watching one car go around, even if it's the car in first. And I'm like, okay, yep, your goal is to not be in the videos. That's a good goal. And unfortunately, in 2024, he had such a tough year that he wasn't in the videos very much because he was all the way in the back. Yeah. And it wasn't even for like particularly compelling reasons. Well, so I felt bad. And that just made it all the more satisfying for me selfishly, just to be like, oh, heck yeah, I get to watch a great Tyler Pernesti battle against, one of the veterans of the division who has been so dominant lately. It was really fun.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the more surprising things with how tough the season was for Tyler, to see him be instantly competitive this year.
Yeah.
It just gave me a lot of hope going for the full season to see who's going to be
even coming in third. That was a gauntlet thrown down.
Yeah, and the other part of this that might be lost is when Tyler fell back, Justin Spears kind of came up there and battled with George in
the clown. Wrinkles
the clown car. Yeah, and that's why I asked the question I did. I'm like, hey, if you had gotten just a little bit closer on the final lap, would you have used the bumper? And he's like, well, yeah, I came here to win. I don't care if that's my brother or not. But I just thought the whole Superstock race, 25 laps, side-by-side racing for at least half of it, and then a good battle at the end between the brothers, and then a 1-2 finish for the brothers, and then Tyler just being kind of, fit to be tied to be third. You could just see that he was impressed with his performance, even though he didn't win. I just thought it was a feel-good race for a lot of reasons.
Absolutely. I'll put you on the spot. Do you have a scoop on Bobby Holly being back behind the wheel?
Well, I kind of talked to Cody Whitley, who won the championship last year.
And he had a really good season, and I really enjoyed, just, again, from my weird perspective of running the camera for every race up on the tower, I really enjoyed having Bobby Holly coming up there for every Superstock race, spotting for him. Yeah. I'd still be filming the interviews for the last race, and he would just slap his hand down on my shoulder, like, hey, man.
If you ever wondered why the video got a glitch.
But it's always a pleasure to see Bobby, and that was a story. Yeah. That was a driver who was still figuring it out back behind the wheel of a veteran's car with that veteran in his ear.
Well, ideally, I'd like to see both of them out there racing.
Yeah.
Because those are two pretty good race cars. And they've got that. If you notice, Bobby was in the quote-unquote backup car.
Mm-hmm, yes.
When I talked to Cody during the banquet, he kind of made it seem like he was only going to race a little bit this year. Okay. And I take a lot of what they say, not with a grain of salt to like be rude, but just like these guys change and flip-flop a lot.
I think it's one of those things where it's like, your brain is telling you to be realistic, but the season comes around and your heart tells you to
go do something else. So I was like, well, we might not see. I was kind of thinking we might not see the 56 car very much at all this year. Maybe they're going to swap, because I think Bobby is content with his racing career, but he's still, like you said, he's still got that bug. So we'll see. Maybe for a couple weeks we get both cars. Maybe they'll switch drivers. But Cody kind of made it seem like he wasn't going to do the full season this year.
Okay. Well,
And we get that a lot, unfortunately. Champions they'll win the championship and they feel like they've accomplished the Mount Rushmore of what they're trying to do, so they kind of back off a little bit.
Good for them. I'd probably do the same.
Caleb Jones is doing that this year. He's only going to run select races, which stinks because I think that's a good person to have in our pit area every week. But
I see both sides of it.
Yes, me too.
For what it's worth, I don't think I've ever mentioned this before, but one of my most engaged viewers for Speedway Video, I have no idea how she found the channel. I'm so grateful she did. She's a veteran of whatever France calls their military, but her screen name, I don't know if it's her real name, is Amelie. So if on any Superstock videos somebody sees Amelie commenting, just know that is one of Bobby Holly's biggest fans.
Gotcha.
She lives over in France as a veteran, and she found Speedway Video and found the Superstock division, and she really likes Bobby Holly. So that's her driver. So just to put that out there, I think that's so cool.
Well, that makes sense. So again, with the Superstock's great race, I encourage you to go back and watch it on Speedway Video if you haven't already. George Spears with the win. Justin Spears' brother in second. Tyler Pernesti was third. Good to see David Gould out there. He was fourth.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Didn't even mention.
Yeah. Kind of got lost in the fray because there was so much excitement ahead of him. Bobby Holly won the heat and finished in fifth. Rookie of the Year contender Max Wheeler in sixth. Seventh for Sean Held. Kenny Gibson struggled in the 23 and eighth, and then Chase Simons, who had a rough night, did not finish the feature in the ninth place. We'll talk more about him here in a moment.
I'm learning to keep my mouth shut on certain things, and Eugene was spotting for him, Eugene Tuminello.
Yeah.
And when he went up there, he just came up and asked how I was doing and everything, and I said, man, what a rough hit for Chase. Hopefully he does better this race. And then like a few laps in, I just saw Eugene out of the corner of my eye leaving the tower, and I'm just like, oh.
Well, let's talk about what, in my opinion, was the race of the night, and I feel like a lot of people are going to share this. The Ashley Holmes Jack's truck, 16 trucks strong, and I just want to say, for whatever reason this year, trucks elsewhere have been on a downturn, and there's been a lot of chatter about the trucks not being good and not being strong. And I mean, for just a normal night at New Smyrna, it's a damn good field of truck. Competitive. Goodness. That's one of the things we said when we first got there and we're walking around watching practice. We're like, we both kind of looked at each other and went, "It's a damn good field of trucks."
Yeah.
And
it has been for a couple years. It's been a division that's growing, and of course, thanks in large part to Chuck Ayers with the Ashley Holmes Jacks. But man, it's become, in my opinion, a signature division of New Smyrna.
I think it's our strongest weekly class.
Yeah, I really agree.
And I think it helps sell a lot of tickets.
They're so exciting. They're so even if it's just lap one, turn one, they're so exciting.
That the trucks are going to give you a moment.
Yes, at least one.
Yeah.
And that word competition, again, that's going to be there. In this particular race, it was there every single lap, sometimes happening in the pits as the restarts were going on. And I did not circle back to it when we mentioned it earlier, but yes, I did carve off that one race to be its own video, and that was because of the last-minute schedule change where it was such an exciting race as the first official feature race of the 2025 season that I was able to just be like, you know what? That was such a good race, and it was officially first.
Yep.
That's a marketable
video. And there
was
that little bit of just talking point after the race.
So I was like, okay, I've got a quote that I can put on the thumbnail and everything. Yep.
And just to point out how good the field was, a guy that could have won the race finished 13th. A championship contender from last year finished 10th. A rookie that doesn't have a lot of experience finished 8th. Our top rookie finished 6th. A guy who's never been here in a truck before finished 4th. And then we had a Canadian win the damn thing.
Mm-hmm. I loved seeing him stick around after the World Series. Maybe he made the trip back down. I don't know. But.
No, I think from his interview, I kind of gathered like, hey, we're down here for a little bit. We won't be here during the summer. Okay. It seems like they've got the snowbird deal going on.
Okay, but that was cool great to see him again.
Right. And when I found out they were coming, I'm like, well, this is going to make the truck race even, because we had the winner from Red Eye versus the winner from World Series on top of a great field of trucks, and we got to see it all together, and yet those two were still, because the truck field during World Series and Red Eye, it wasn't huge. It wasn't great. but the same guys were up there duking it out. And we had
Yeah.
Jeffrey White, and we had Becca Monopoly.
Those were the two I was just going to mention. Becca,
then-
who looked real competitive
Yeah.
until that one restart where
Well, she won the heat race, which was awesome. Side-by-side finish with Jeffrey White there, or last lap pass for the lead, I think.
if I would have to go back and double check myself. If I remember my correctly, it was what
little bump and run, maybe.
Yeah. That's what my brain is telling me. But yeah,
A great race either
Becca,
way.
I guess this is my word of the night. But Becca is always so competitive. She's exciting to watch,
And she's a fan favorite.
and there was just that one. It to me, I mean, I don't know. It didn't look like spun wheels. It didn't look like missed a shift. It didn't look like something went wrong on the car. It looked like other people just maneuvered into a better restart.
Yeah,
coming out of the zone that she got swallowed up, and that's exciting. Like even as someone who enjoys watching Becca and wants to see her up front, it's exciting to see. It's not like, oh shoot, the I don't know cars, the thing fell out. You're like, oops, I don't even.
The thing fell out.
I learned something during the World Series where somebody had a bad restart and they told me about what happened. I was like, oh yeah, when he went to shift, it snapped the this and that dropped the that, and I was like, oh, I learned something, and now I don't remember.
And now
you've
forgotten.
But then so you've got that happening with Becca, and then Jeff looked like a race winner.
Yeah, and then he fell out.
I don't know if you
pits.
found out what happened to the truck. I don't know what it was.
I did,
but that was
like
so
now,
interesting.
I can't remember. I think it was It had to do with the transmission.
Oh, okay.
So,
but
no. It was a plug wire or something like that. Something fell off.
But he remained competitive enough that it seemed like maybe he could work his way back up, and it did.
Right.
It didn't.
We
end up
saw
working
it
out.
once, then he pitted again. We thought we were going to see it again, and then he retired.
And
from
even
the
in
contest.
a more dull overall race, that still would have been an exciting story to watch, just from an objective standpoint. Sucks for that racing team.
Right.
But
it always sucks for the team, but for us fans, when a strong car goes to the back and makes their way back up through, it's fun to watch.
Yeah. So we had that on top of everything else.
Right.
What an exciting race.
And the best part was we had some cautions. We had some spins. Gage went up into the wall. I think Dalton Smith spun out in turn 2, and
oh, right.
there were just a couple of minor incidents, but there was enough cautions to keep the field bunched together, and we had several restarts that were all very intense because I think they all kind of felt like we got to get position as fast as we can. And the race was so closely contested for the entire 25 laps. And then you had Gorham and Lassard going at each other like a slobber knocker. And, oh, well, I bumped him because he bumped me back a couple of months ago, and I bumped him back because he bumped me tonight. And then, I drove my car into the wall because I don't want to lose this race to this guy because I don't like him now because he hit me once. And, honestly, it might be the race of the year. I don't know.
My gosh,
I don't know if we top it. I don't know how we top it, but it was that exciting. I mean, if not race of the year, top 5.
Definitely race of the year so far, at the
For
very
sure.
least.
So far. Yeah.
So okay. Oh boy, brain's getting scrambled. All the names in my head. Who do I want to? Who did you just mention that spun out into?
Dalton Smith.
Thank you, Dalton Smith.
You like his pre-race interview?
Yep. And because there was the background music playing at the track, I didn't film it. But this is the guy who went from, at least the first time he really blipped on my radar, was in the 3-car Pro Late race. I think it was.
Yes, that he won when
like
Brad May
maybe?
and Jason Vale spun each other out.
And in turn 2, and so like it was already a cut laps race because only 3 cars showed up, and Dalton Smith, who was just out there because he loves racing and it's just the father-son team. He knows he's never he's not getting podium in this car. They're just building it up. They love doing it.
Yep.
He ends up in victory lane, and he just
he goes, I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah, he's just like, well, I finally did it.
Yeah.
And he's so meek. He's so humble. You're just happy that the circumstance went his way, to the point where now he's like, oh man, things did not go our way last
You
season.
touched my truck, I'm putting you in the wall.
Yeah, so
he's
I'm like,
changed.
okay, let's see it, Dalton. And unfortunately, after whatever happened to him in 2, I didn't catch it on camera. You didn't see it with your eyes. I don't know if anything's been said after the fact.
From what I understood, he just kind of lost it by himself. So
yeah.
there's nobody to go after. But
I didn't think so. Even though we didn't see it, I didn't think that anything had happened there. But whatever had happened, he ended up pulling off. But it's talk about a way to get eyeballs on you. He's like, hey, I'm coming after you if you come after me. So
by the time I got on the track, I didn't have a whole lot of time to do interviews because I had my hands full, and I was. We do have an intern who's going to be helping me with some color commentary throughout the year. That's actually a Full Sail student that I connected with. And I finally during intermission had a chance because he got there during the heats to kind of talk to him. So I was doing that. I fed my daughter who was with me. I changed her. I was talking to the family that she was hanging out with. And then by the time I got on the track, I only had a few minutes for interviews. And the ones that I got ended up being really good interviews.
Yes.
And
I
just
love Chuck Rush cratching Zach
Curtis's, yep. And Curtis being out there without his car. I feel like the interviews I got, even though there was only a couple of them, they were good. They were very entertaining. And then, got to do Driver of the Week with Chuck, which I'm bringing back in a different context this year.
I was happy that I was able to edit that just so YouTube did not get angry at me for the music playing in the background.
And that was I was already down there, couldn't get back up there. If things work out with my help, I should be able to have more control over the music this year, which is something that I'm really looking forward to. Having a second person up there who's not there to, take over the show, but there to learn and get experience. So I think it'll be good for our show. But yeah, this truck race was awesome. The battle between George and Anthony. I don't care if Anthony thinks George is a dirty driver and vice versa. I was thrilled by it, and I'm happy for Anthony. I think George is going to be a great person to have in our field all season long. Anthony's only there for this race, I guess. Hard to tell exactly what he was saying, but George is going to get plenty of wins this year.
That's what I was going to ask you about. I'm thrilled that George is still sticking with New Smyrna. It's always exciting seeing him out there. Whether he's dominating or battling, he's an exciting driver. I was going to ask you because I did listen back to Lessard's interview a couple times, and I couldn't tell whether he was saying. And I took 5 years of French in school, and I can understand a little bit of it. I could not tell whether he was saying, oh, well, in Quebec, we drive a little bit different, so I'm not used to, I'm used to the drivers up there, not used to the drivers down here, or whether he was saying what you were suggesting earlier, or what it seemed like you were suggesting earlier, was like, oh, yeah, well, he got me once, so I got him back. And it sounded like he was teeing up one of those two, and then he switched over to French, and I wasn't sure. And then you get over to George, and George was saying like, "Oh man,
we don't race like that here."
If he
you can go back to Quebec if he race like that.
Such a good quote. I loved that. I mean, I put it in the freaking thumbnail, so of course I liked it.
Yeah, it was also such a Gorham quote too.
Yes,
but
the
also
other thing was that
it contradicts the way George races too. So
sure,
because we've seen George do the same thing,
and the other interesting wrinkle to that to me is that just bird's eye view, I've never been behind the wheel of a race car. I don't know what it's like to take a single lap around New Smyrna. It looked to me like Lessard just slid up. It didn't look intentional to me, but then
I think what George was mad about was the restart. He lost the lead because he felt like the 192 kind of got into him.
Okay, so I'm thinking about the wrong moment because I was wondering that same thing, and I went back and I watched and I didn't see it, but it might just be the difference of a few pixels on my screen versus what they're really dealing with.
But then again, those restarts, the way racing is these days, restarts are your best opportunity to pass. So if you can take advantage of somebody and get them a little squirrely on a restart, you gotta jump, you gotta pounce. That's why the choose is so important. If the guy gives up the inside and gets run up the hill. It's why a lot of times, even though the outside is the better groove, you'll see the guy pick the bottom so that nobody can slide up into him. But then sometimes they lose it because the guy on the outside gets a better launch off the corner. And it's mind games. There's so many mind games on a restart, which is why people like restarts.
And our restart rules are a little bit different this year.
Which, on the flagman.
Just being, they're on the flagman this year. And I heard that from the race director when we were pre-race when I was in the tower. But
it didn't seem like it messed anybody up, though. Everything seemed consistent enough. So
I agree. Although even me, without my racing, like I don't have a racing brain, even if I hadn't heard that from the race director, I still would have noticed the difference.
Okay. Well, that means they were doing their job then.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, going back to, I think both racers, I wouldn't take sides on this because we got a great race. And that's all I'm asking for every week.
I'm a fan of both.
I think both racers did a hell of a job.
Yeah.
And lesser racers would have wrecked those trucks.
Yeah,
and
that's a good
instead,
point.
we got great racing. We got some drama. George came over before I could get down there, and I could hear him as I was coming down the stairs. He was not happy with how he felt like he was raced. And I think George has a right to feel that way. And I think Anthony has a right to feel like, well, I came here with one opportunity, and I made sure that I made the most of my opportunity. Whether you think that's fair or not, and some people don't. There were people saying that that guy drove dirty, and then there was people saying that George was driving dirty. But I think that just means both drivers were racing their ass off and gave us a show, and that is the kind of racing that we need at short tracks to keep people engaged and coming back.
I agree with you, and to his credit, George said the same thing.
Yeah,
after he vented,
yep.
He did say, "Well, hey, we gave the fans a show."
Yep, and George is looking to run all the truck races and all the super late model races, and we need people like that. So I'm appreciative of both drivers, and it was very entertaining. And when I left the tower to go to the interview after the race, I'm like, "Ooh, this is going to be good. This is going to be." I was excited for that one. So. Congratulations to Quebec Canada's Anthony Lessard for the win. George Gorham was second. Nolan Mesa, a quiet third place run. A couple of podiums last year. He won Rookie of the Year. Faded towards the end of last year, but back up onto the podium in one of the stronger fields we've had in about a year. Kenny Gibson was fourth in his first ever start. So that was good to see. Becca Monopoly, fifth over Grayson Greaves in sixth. Wilson Martins Jr., a quiet seventh place run. Rookie Gage Spears, he went for that spin early in the race, recovered for eighth. Danny Kaler in the 7 was ninth. Dalton Smith 10th. Nick Provost, one of our rookie contenders, was 11th. 12th for Don Duval. Jeffrey White with mechanical issues 13th. Bruce Gayton bounced it off the wall and finished 14th. Unfortunately, Chuck Ayers in the 21, 15th. He had mechanical problems and retired. And then Randy Kuhn with an oil pan issue did not start the main event. But, man, just a great truck race. And shout out to our heat race winners, Becca Monopoly and Anthony Lessard. Any final thoughts on the truck race?
Good to see Don Duval out there. Like with Gould in the Superstock race, it's one of those where it's like, oh, I'm so glad to see him doing the thing. And then just wasn't involved in any stories, really, so we didn't talk about him. But I always like seeing Don Duval out there.
Yeah, and the truck looked good, too.
Yeah.
I like that purple. So we'll move now and close out the night with the Bomber B division, which I think the biggest talking point was, well, there's two. First and foremost, Zach Curtis continues to dominate. Nobody was touching him. Second, the big wreck in the heat race. Chase Simons, what a amazing start to the race for Chase, and amazing to see it go from, wow, that was amazing, to, oh my God, I hope he's okay. Because he took the lead off turn number 2, went into turn number 3, and just straight into the wall. And then back down into traffic, and Chuck Brewer nailed him in the driver's door. That was the scary part for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like seeing, capturing stories for the videos. I really liked seeing Chase get out first, of course. That's the first thing. But then after he got out, he just struts on down. And of course, he's young enough that every year you notice a little bit more maturity. He's a little bit taller. He's a little bit, he looks more like an adult every single year. So I'm seeing this just a little bit more grown-up man than he was last year, just strutting on down to a super stock. Like, all right, let's get ready for the next race. So I enjoy that little story there. But yeah, I guess Eugene told me it was transmission. Is that?
See, now that's the third thing I've heard. According to Scott Ponder, who I debriefed with after the races, I was talking to him in the bar. Master cylinder fell off the car, which causes you to not have brakes.
Okay. Well, you're hearing this from a not car guy, so maybe I heard a different word, and but yeah. I've heard master cylinder as well, and it's just such a funny.
Yeah, I heard
term. That's
lost brakes, and then I heard master cylinder, and now you're saying transmission. So
It looked like
know.
lost brakes or tire. But yeah, it definitely something.
I mean, he just went off into 3, and the car just kept going straight. So when you're going that fast, if you don't have a way to slow it down, there's only one way to go, but up and straight. So it was unfortunate because that's a really good fast race car.
Yeah.
And Chase is a good little driver.
He really is.
I'm glad he had the Superstock opportunity, so his day wasn't completely over. But man, what a tough night! I mean, didn't finish the Superstock race, didn't make it past the heat race, lap 1 in the Bomber B, and I'm just glad he's okay. And great turnout. 15 cars showed up for the Bomber Bs. We lost 1 in practice due to engine, and then 2 in the heat race crash. So the field thinned a little bit for the feature, but this Bomber B division, if you remember, just a couple of years ago, 1 car, Timmy Walters. That was right. It. And now it has evolved into a very fun, like you see the Bomber Bs on the card, and they may be to some a lower division, but to me, I see the Bomber Bs, and I'm like, this should be fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely, every time, and just having the luxury of working there and walking around the pits and everything, like it's a lot of really fun guys.
It is.
I guess honestly, you can say that about a lot of the classes, but the Bomber Bs are one of those that is just a lot of fun people that I love, chatting with when we're walking around. And, Zach Curtis is one of those. I always love seeing Zach Curtis. I'm sure his competitors do not like seeing Zach Curtis when he shows up.
Remember, we got there around the same time as he did. Yep. And I said, I think our Bomber winner just got here.
Yeah.
And then that sigh we heard when we got out of the car, that was the
It was not mechanical issues. It was, but, and Curtis, he's always good about putting on a show until he's like, all right, it's time to drop the hammer.
On Saturday, he was making a statement.
There are... he knows when there are other good cars in the field, and that's and you will know if Zach Curtis knows that, because it'll be sooner in the race when he decides, okay, I got to
hit the gas pedal,
and then start having fun seeing how loose he can get in the turns.
If Nico Garano was there in the morning, blew up. If he had not blown up, he would have given Zach a run for his money. I don't know if he could have beaten him. You can't say because he didn't make it past practice, but. We've seen Nico at Auburndale, and we know he's a hell of a driver. And he was at New Smyrna, won a race, got it taken away. But he was also involved in that big crash off forward when he hit the wall and was kind of dazed. You remember that?
Oh, yes.
So it's hard to say what the race could have been. He could have raced with Zach, but we'll never know. But this night had Zach Curtis is going to beat everybody into a pulp written all over it from the drop of the first heat race.
Yeah. But, there was... other good stuff to watch. Honestly, the
battle for second was fantastic. We had 5 guys duking it out. Like I jokingly towards the end of the race, I said, "Don't pay attention to Zach. I'll let you know if anything changes up there. Just watch the battle for second.
Pay no attention to the man behind the whatever car that is
behind the checkered flag. We all know what's going to happen.
Oh my God, that's perfect.
Yeah, the battle for second was great, and Larry Masters was second to the line. He got tossed in tech, and when I talked to Zach. At the end of the night when he's picking up his payout, I was like, what happened to Larry? He goes, man, he had like a super late model carburetor on that thing. So it was a carburetor issue. Wasn't the right part for what the car should have been. So he got tossed. And I'm like, man, they can find that, but they can't find your cheating ass. And I was joking with him.
Of course.
That ain't my job. I'm just saying. But I was joking with him. He goes, they ain't gonna find nothing.
Yeah,
and I'm like, that's exactly what you should say.
And hey, I ran into Chuck Rush in the parking lot, and he was just excited. He didn't even mention the fact that he had gotten second. He was just excited at what a great race that was, and how much fun he had out there.
In limited opportunities, that's what he wants. He wants good, close competition, and he and Larry were, in their mind, battling for the quote-unquote win because they knew Zach was going to beat him anyway.
And further back in the field, I like these stories. I like the underdog stories. I like the young driver learning stories and the father-son, father-daughter kind of thing. You've got Lindsay Samian back there.
Yep.
And you would be able to tell me if this is true or not because the action was good enough up front that I didn't see all of it. But I feel like she did fade again toward the end. But like toward the middle of that race... She was right up in the battle. Yeah. And
she was hanging with the guys battling for second.
Yeah, and it was not because of starting position. It was because she was passing people. Like, I saw her pass a couple people in the back.
The thing that made me wonder about what was going on there is she elected to start at the back in the heat race. And I was surprised at that because she's not a rookie anymore. This is her 3rd year racing full time.
So I was a little bit
surprised by that.
I think... I think Doug told me that they didn't get any practice time.
Okay.
It was something. It was something
So
like that.
they kind of used the heat as a practice. Okay, that makes sense because she ran fine. She looked like herself in the feature. Now,
yeah, I might be wrong, but he told me something like that.
Because things got dicey towards the end. There was a number of cars duking it out for position there. But no, she can hold her own with all those guys. And I mean, this was a good field of Bomber Bees. I mean, we had our defending champ back. Jason Scroven was in the field. Tim Nicholas in the 23, Frank's old car, won a heat.
Right.
So that was cool after it crashed in February.
Right.
We have the Gamaches out there. We got Mike Gamache, who finished third after the DQ, and Amy Gamache, which I don't know those guys. That's a group I haven't had the chance to meet yet, but I saw two people that I didn't recognize in driver suits, arm in arm. So I'm thinking Amy and Mike might be a boyfriend-girlfriend team, which is cool, or husband and wife. I don't know. So that's cool. I'm glad we have that. That's always fun. I like that family aspect. Then of course we got Lindsay and Doug out there. We got Chase and Jerry Simons. We've got just a great cast of characters in the Bomber Beat, and I think there's more coming. So I think this division is going to be fun to watch. I was surprised that Stephen Wright wasn't out there. Because he had even mentioned, like, hey, I've never raced Bomber Bees. Can I be a rookie this year? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah,
and he wasn't actually there. Aaron Foy wasn't out there.
Rick in a new car.
Rick was out there in a new car, ran well during the heat. Radiator Hose took them out.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
Okay.
Skinny's going to be out there in a second car. He's going to number it 666 this year, apparently. So that should be fun. So we're going to have a good... what I'm getting at, we're going to have a good Bomber Bee division this year.
Yeah. And there's definitely something there with pay no attention to the man behind the checkered flag. You're a better wordsmith, like the Wizard of Curtis, the wicked Zach Curtis. Like there's got to be something there.
The Wicked of Zach.
The Wicked of Zach, the Wizard of
and
the Wiz-Zach of Oz. That's terrible.
When I say stuff like pay no attention to him, that's not to discredit what he's doing. It's yes, I'm poking fun a little bit, but I want people to stay engaged. And also, I've known Zach, and Zach and I, listen, we can debate, we can argue, we can disagree on things, but we can always shake each other's hand. And
I mean, the dude's practically doing 360s around the turns, and he's one of the most profitable
I'm
drivers
waiting
in the
for the
state,
night
so
where he
he's
comes
good.
off turn number 4 and literally turns it in reverse and backs across the line to win the race because he's. But the thing about Zach is, like, everybody wants to just point fingers and say you're cheating because he's so much faster, which it raises eyebrows because he's so much faster. Yes, of course, but the man has been doing this for so long with this style of car. Whether it be in the Bomber A division, when we first started, he was doing it in the Bomber A's, and now he's doing it in the Bomber B's. But his mind is always to another race. He's always thinking about, okay, there's this big paying race coming up that I want to go be competitive at, and I'm going to go to New Smyrna. I'm going to try some things, and that's what I mentioned. He's always trying some things. Like, he wasn't completely happy with the feel of his car.
That's right.
Even though it was half a track ahead.
He blew everyone away in the heat, and then he still went and worked on it.
Right. His mindset is, when he comes to New Smyrna, like, this is a playground to him. He wants to see what he's got for these big races coming up, and very rarely does he ever get caught illegal. I can't think of how many times I've ever been DQ'd, and you want to say, oh well, Tech's not doing their job. Well, they DQ'd somebody on Saturdays, so.
Yeah. And it's not favoritism. I trust our tech shit. Those are very objective guys down there.
Yeah. I mean, I'll mention in passing to Jeff, hey, I heard from so-and-so, and he goes, oh, who is that? And I'm like, he's here every week, dude. Well, I don't pay attention to that because I'm trying to be that. My point is, tech is literally just looking at things, and yes, they don't strip every car down every single week. No racetrack in the world does that. But Zach is doing what he's got to do, and gives Zach one of the worst cars. We saw him last year hop into Kenny Coleman's cars and almost win the race. So Zach is a good driver, and he's got a good car. So that, of course, is going to be tough to beat. And everybody else got to step up their game. So Zach Curtis does get the win. Chuck Rush, second. In limited opportunities. Good to see Uncle Chuck, as Peyton would say, get a good finish. Mike Gamache was third, fourth for Jason Scrover. He had a yo-yo overnight. Didn't look good in the heat, then came back alive, and then fourth in the feature.
Yeah.
Tim Nicholas, fifth. Kenny Coleman, sixth. Amy Gamache, seventh. Eighth for Lindsey Samian. Daniel Andrews in the Dodge Magnum, on the racetrack. That's just, never thought I'd see that. He was ninth, and Spencer Dean, a rookie driver, in 10th. Rick Gaither, 11th. And then Chase Simons did not start. Chuck Brewer did not start, obviously, with the heat race crash. They were out. And Larry Masters with the DQ. Heat race winners, Zach Curtis and Tim Nicholas. And that wraps up a very exciting opening night there at New Smyrna. Any final thoughts on that?
It's just like we suggested. It makes me. I was anxious for it in a positive way. I wanted the season to kick off, and what we saw made me glad that it has.
It makes me excited for the rest of the year. Will there be some nights that are Yes. Will there be some nights that exceed everybody's expectations? Yep. And that just means it's going to be a lot of fun. Real quick, I know we've gone kind of long here, but I do want to touch on it. NASCAR was in Las Vegas. Going to start on Friday night, where it rained a whole bunch during the truck race, to the point where they had 3 or 4 stoppages that I thought would end the race, and they kept going and ran to the finish. So that was cool. And Corey Heim got the win in the truck race. And then, on Saturday, Justin Allgaier held off Eric Almirola to win the Xfinity race, which I'm going to burp real quick. Excuse me. And
too much White Claw.
Too much. Too many. I'm going to say something nice about Kyle Busch. So this is a monumental podcast. He was in the booth for the Xfinity race, and he was the best part of the entire event.
Better than Tom Brady at the Super Bowl?
Way better than Tom Brady. Kyle Busch, when Kyle Busch decides to hang up his racing helmet, like when his kid starts racing and stuff, I want Kyle Busch in a booth because he is that good. He was enjoyable to listen to. So kudos to Kyle Busch. So that's all I got on Xfinity. Cup race on Sunday. It was a good race. I know you don't watch. I know you don't care too much, but record amount of lead changes for a race at Las Vegas in its entire history.
Okay.
32. So competitive event. A lot of cautions, a lot of pit strategy. I could sit here and go another 20 minutes on analyzing the race just by myself, but it was a fun race to sit down and watch. In today's NASCAR, Tom, the cars are so close. The drivers are so good. It's tough when everybody gets out there and up to speed. Once everybody kind of separates, it's hard to make passes. Now, there were certain cars.
Get that impression.
Kyle Larson was fast all day. William Byron was fast all day. Christopher Bell was good until his wheels came off. A lot of people took advantage of the timing of cautions and pit strategy, which I'm not a big fan of races being won and lost on pit road, but that is because NASCAR is so close these days with the cars all being relatively the same and the drivers being so good. You got to pay attention to what they do in the pits, and the decisions you make on pit road can win or lose you the race. So you have to pay attention to it now, which is a lot harder to do with a 3-year-old running around at the same time watching the race with you. So I was lost all day on who was doing what with the pits, because there were so many. The cautions would come out right in the middle of a pit cycle, and that would put somebody behind. Somebody would still be a lap down, but then they get the lap back, and then they'd leapfrog this guy, and then they'd fall back. And halfway through the race, I'm like, Kyle Larson's going to win the race. He just is. He's got the fastest car. He came up through in one stage 2, and I'm like, ugh, Kyle Larson, here we go again. He's always so good here. But then he pitted with like 70 laps to go. Then they had another caution, and he was not back up towards the front yet. We had a late race restart. I'm going to jump to the last restart. Josh Berry and Daniel Suarez were up front. Those are two guys. You're looking at me like, who the fuck are those guys? Two guys that aren't normally up front battling for the win in a cup race. Daniel Suarez has 2 wins in his career. Josh Berry has never won in his career, but he's in his second year. Suarez is in his 4th or 5th. And I'm like, these guys are going to get swallowed up by Kyle Larson and William Byron, who are starting back in like 7th and 8th spot. It's inevitable that they're going to get passed. Well, Suarez and Berry are battling side by side, and then finally Josh Berry gets away, and here comes William Byron with like 12 laps to go. Byron's up to fourth, and you're like, he's going to go up there, and he is just going to pass these guys, and he's going to win his second race of the year, which I have nothing against William Byron. We've seen him race at New Smyrna. It's just like I had no problem with Christopher Bell winning the last 3 Cup races after his run at New Smyrna. I'm just like, this is cool. Like, guy that took time out of his day to participate with us and be very pleasant about it. William Byron was always the same way when he raced with us too. But I'm like, I want to see something new. And the lap started clicking off, and Josh Berry's his lead is comfortable. Daniel Suarez is still second. Ryan Preece is third. And I'm like, this is cool. William Byron and Ross Chastain are battling for fourth. I'm like, this is pretty cool. And the laps keep winding down. I'm like, no caution. No caution. Because if there's a caution, it's going to bunch everybody up. And I'm like, this is going to go a whole different direction. The caution doesn't come out. And Josh Berry, driving for the legendary Wood Brothers team, a team that's been around NASCAR longer than you and I have ever been a thought in anybody's eye. that last year they won at Daytona when I was there with Harrison Burton.
Yeah.
Which we've seen race at New Smyrna, which was a cool thing for me. But that team wins like once every like 8 years. So it was a surprise, but now a lot of people are saying, no, I don't think it was a surprise. I think they're onto something. So now the question is, are they going to win multiple times? Are they going to be an actual contender now? Have they hit on something? So I think what we saw on Sunday was perhaps the start of something really cool and not just a fluke win. It's the first time, just to put it in perspective, the first time in Las Vegas's history, the track's been around since 1998, that somebody's gotten their first career win. Okay. So that's pretty cool. So Josh Berry gets the win for the Wood Brothers. Historic team, 101st career NASCAR victory for the team. That just shows how long they've been around and how successful they've been, even though over the past 3 decades they really haven't been successful. They won like everything back in the 70s and 80s, and then they kind of fell off. Daniel Suarez, a driver fighting for his career because there's some up-and-coming drivers on the same team in the Xfinity Series that are looking to take his spot. And he needs, like, the man needs to win to kind of keep himself relevant. And he came up short, and you could see that he was like, damn, we did good today, but we didn't get the win we needed. And then Ryan Preece, who's had so much bad luck over his career, a driver we've seen at New Smyrna have so much good luck and that we would root for. I remember us getting together saying, we need to go watch Ryan Preece in his Xfinity race back in 2018. Did you see what happened to him in Daytona?
I did not.
So there was a wreck with like 6 laps to go. The leaders got together and came back through the field, and Ryan Preece ramped off Christopher Bell, of all people. His car...
They call that the bell curve.
That's it. He did the bell curve. He launched off his wheels, and the car went up in the air like this and rode like a wheelie down the back straightaway at Daytona. Caught enough air to turn over and flip going into turn 3. Like he did a complete rotation, flipped over and bounced off the wall. And it was like the car, like it rolled one time, but it bounced like this. And if you remember a couple of years ago, he tumbled like a Sidewinder, tumbled.
Can't forget that one.
Yeah. So for the second time, he was upside down at Daytona, and he's now with a different team. And his season, he hasn't done bad, but he hasn't done good. But he got a 3rd place finish, which is one of his best finishes in Cup ever. And then the guy I thought was going to win, William Byron, battled with Ross Chastain to finish 4th. And then Ross, who's my driver, finished 5th. So it was really a topsy-turvy race. I mean, Kyle Busch had a wheel fall off on a restart and spun out in front of the field. Ryan Blaney got caught up in a big wreck with Bubba Wallace and some other guys. There was a lot going on in the race. It was the racing itself wasn't like, oh my God, that's the best racing I've ever seen. But the event with the cautions and the strategy and the things getting mixed up and the different winner that we had, it was a fun race. I think if you had just sat down to watch it with me, not knowing, as you don't really care about NASCAR, I think you would have sat down and been like, well, well, this was enjoyable.
Yeah,
this was a
still
fun
would've been
race because
some
a lot
entertainment
happened.
value. That's
it. That's what I'm getting at.
That's
exactly.
cool. And like even for that brief period that I watched the NFL, the teams that I liked were the ones that didn't win all the time, but they made the games interesting.
Right.
Or being the big wrestling fan that I am, one of my favorite recent pay-per-views was when they did Backlash in Puerto Rico, which I think was 2023, and it like on paper it was kind of like, what is this? But in actual practice, it was a bunch of people who don't usually get the pay-per-view spot in a special situation where they knew they had something to prove. And so none of the finishes were in question, but they made it interesting, and it was so fun to watch. And it ended up being special and historic.
Right. And that's honestly, I say it on this podcast all the time because I know, like, I've had people come up to me, I listen to your podcast, but I turn it off when you start listening to NASCAR.
Right.
That's fine. There's probably some that'll turn it off halfway through just because. But
I mean, I'm one of the people who usually turns it off when you get
that's
to NASCAR.
fine. That's fine. I enjoy NASCAR for the entertainment value that it gives me. And like on a Sunday afternoon after working at the track on Saturday, I'm worn out. So I love to just sit there, hang out with my daughter who is getting more and more into it. Like she goes, Dada, I watched Josh Berry flip at my mama's, but I watched him win at your house. And I'm just like, she's learning. Like she's
the fact that she remembered that was so...
that's it. And
yeah.
I didn't even have to, she brought it up.
Yeah.
She remembered that. And she's catching on to who drives what. And she's like, we don't like him. Oh, we like him. And she knows, I would say she knows about half of the drivers now. And I'm like, it just makes it more enjoyable. So
meanwhile, I'm refreshing YouTube like, it's only up to 70 views right now? What? Oh, right, Xfinity.
Yeah, that's it. But no, it was a good race. It was entertaining. The cautions made it more entertaining than it was because a lot of restarts and a lot of varying strategies. And I'm looking forward to Homestead this weekend, which as of a year ago was one of my least favorite tracks, and I was shitting all over it. I literally got on here to go, well, I think Homestead's overrated. And I was sitting atop my pedestal, and it ended up being one of the best races of the year last year. So I'm excited to go back. It's going to be hard to live up to last year's race, but that's where we're at next week. So we'll talk about it next week. We have the David Rogers Super Lates coming up. I was talking to you, Tom, before we hit the red button here. We're up against some competition this week. Southern Super Series, ASA National Tour, they are racing at Five Flags, so some of the bigger teams are going to be up there. Auburndale has Prolates, which I know pros and supers are different, and Auburndale's deal is different from ours. But I'm encouraged because we just had a entry out of Portland, Maine. Austin Terrace is coming back down. He was with us for World Series. The 29 car will be there. Brad May, George Gorham, Brighton Horner. I would expect a couple of, I don't expect a huge field, but I expect enough cars to make it interesting.
Yeah.
Plus, we had the return of the Sportsman. We had the Bomber A's, which with a 24-second breakout rule, you just never know who's going to get there in the ground pounders. So we will have a great night of racing, and we will be back next week to talk I say we. I'll be back, unless you want to come back. You're always welcome, Tom. But I know it's a privilege to have you with all the things you have going on. But we'll recap all the racing from New Smyrna. We'll touch on Homestead and whatever else is going on in the racing world. And Tom, thank you again for coming in and sticking through this whole thing.
Yeah, thanks for the invite. It comes once or twice a year, and it's always fun. And since we're at the end, I got to go back into the advertising mode. But I've got to find
up for.
Yeah, I've got to find I'm always like, oh man, I don't want to promote myself. People should just watch the videos if they want. But
do it.
It is true. I mean it every time I say it. The reason Speedway Video is still around and is going to still be around is because of the support from the fans. There are multiple ways to do it, but the best way is via the Patreon, patreon.com/Speedway Video. You could the links are all over the YouTube channel, all over the Facebook. If you want to sign up, I know there was this odd thing, is slightly tangential, but there was this odd thing last year.
Talk about this.
Yeah, I apparently Patreon introduced a free tier without alerting people who use Patreon to support what they do.
That's a good way to do business.
So I was starting, barely anybody signed up for the Patreon in 2024 as far as I knew. And I was sort of like, oh man, this is a bit of a drag. No new people are signing up. I mean, I appreciate the people who are still signed up, but no new people are joining. I found out when I looked into it, a bunch of people actually did sign up, but they signed up on the free tier.
Because they're just like, oh, I'm doing what he said, and this is it. Cool, this works for me.
So on one hand, thank you so much for checking it out. I genuinely appreciate you clicking the link and looking to see what it is, but also it doesn't help the bottom line. It's when you're not signed up for one of the tiers, the ones you can sign up for whatever amount you want to do per month, but the subscription tiers are the recommended ones are $5, $10, and $20. So I appreciate everybody who does it. It's the reason I'm able to keep on coming out to the track and filming the races for you and putting them up for free on YouTube. So thank you. And if you want to join, that is how. Patreon.com/Speedway Video.
And of course, the videos will be up next. If all goes right in the processing world of YouTube, it'll be up next Sunday for you to watch. But please come out to the track and be part of the show, and then go back and watch it to pick up on everything you might have missed. Because listen, I'm up there every week, and there's always something I missed that I want to go back and see, or just to, especially for when I come on here and have something controversial to talk about. I love to go back and watch the videos just so I can get a second view and be like, okay, I know what I'm going to talk about now. So, Tom, thank you for everything you do. Thanks for coming on. It's been a lot of fun. Great way to break down the first race of the season, and we'll get together maybe towards the end of the year and break down another one.
Hey, sounds good.
All right. And thank you all for listening. We have plenty to talk about next week. If you want to join the show, $5 an episode, or if you just want to do a season, you're like, hey, I'm going to give you. Also, you could just walk up to Tom and be like, hey, I'm going to give you this. Add me to your thing.
That does happen.
We do accept just generous cash donations if you want to be a sponsor, and we'll get you on board. So thank you to Ken Copley for being our show's sponsor at this time. And thank you all for listening. Please get out there and support local short tracks. A lot of good racing going on this weekend. Five Flag Speedway, Auburndale Speedway, Showtime, I think, is in action, as well with sprint cars. And, of course, New Smyrna, where we will be at and will be covering. So get out there, support your local short tracks. They need you. We got to keep this sport alive by being supportive of it. And with that said, talk to you next week. Enjoy the morning.